Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's very special edition of MetalCon Live. Today's special edition of MetalCon Live is being brought to you by the Future Leaders program that is co-presented by the Metal Construction Association and MetalCon. Our speaker today is Phillip Thompson, who works for US Steel. And Phillip is going to give us some great insights on understanding middle management. Again, as I just said, today we are being presented by the Future Leaders of MetalCon and the MCA. The Future Leaders program is fantastic for any members of our industry that are 40 years of age or younger, or individuals that are trying to rise through the ranks or work in the Metal Construction Association or within the metal construction industry for the first time. We do have a very special promo code, which I'll share with you a little later on, to get you some additional dollars off your MetalCon registration. For anyone who's interested, or for anyone who is watching who is an exhibitor at MetalCon, in 2 weeks we will have a very special presentation. It is our MetalCon exhibitor webinar that is information for all of our exhibitors, including best courses of action, how to get more people in your booth, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you're an exhibitor, check that out. As I said, registration is open and we are 5 weeks. That's right, guys, only 5 weeks from MetalCon, and it is coming up quick. If you are a future leader, or if you count yourself as someone under the age of 40 or a future leader in the metal construction industry, use code FLMC at your registration point for a very special discount for your registration. Again, that is code FLMC. We look forward to seeing everyone who's on this webinar joining us live at MetalCon in person in Las Vegas this year. As you may know, we will have a survey at the end of this session. It is not AIA approved this time, simply because of the nature of this webinar. It's actually going to be very different than our typical webinars. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to submit those via the chat box at the very bottom of your screens. We'll be happy to read those questions out. Today's session will be very much a Q&A, an open chat, and a discussion with Phillip on his role at US Steel and how we can all benefit from the middle management levels and the middle management areas of our various companies. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Phillip Thompson. Phillip, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I guess I said my name is Phillip Thompson, and I work at United States Steel in primarily construction. I'm out of our Fairfield plant down in Alabama, and we make a lot of metal construction products, primarily galvanum, and make a lot of also galvanized for steel framing and stuff, but a lot of galvanum that gets turned into roofs and walls. So I guess that's why I'm in the construction business. I don't know, I guess I should start with my background, maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I guess I've been with US Steel for 20 years now. Started out right out of college. One of the few people that's been with one company for a long time, especially nowadays. Started out as a management associate in annealing, and was afraid to walk under the cranes and would walk along the walls because I wouldn't go under the cranes, and eventually get some confidence and move along. Yeah, started out in the QA department and worked through different facilities in the mill, different operations, and just got more experience and got to know more people, and eventually moved up to an area manager position. And then we had some bad, I guess, economic downturn in 2015 in the steel industry, and so we downsized our plant, and my position was eliminated. So I thankfully had an opportunity to move over into the customer technical service world, which I'm in now, and have been doing that ever since. So that's where I am now, and I guess. In the lovely world of middle management, this is where I've kind of been my whole life, in various levels, and I don't know what else to say about that.
perfectly fine. That works for us. So the title of our course was very interesting. So I'd love to hear about your specific experiences and why you like the role that you currently have at US Steel, or the level of role that you currently have at US Steel.
I like that I get to do a lot of different things every day, every week. Especially now in dealing with more with customers. Um, you get to deal with all sorts of random projects. I deal with our marketing department a lot, deal with salespeople all the time, other internal business groups when, just business processes don't work, or they're looking for improvement, or they want to try something new. When you've been around long enough, they ask for some feedback. And then also having had experience in the operations side, knowing how we make steel and our own internal processes, just a lot of experience. So you can help both sides of the line. You can help on the sales side to try and sell it and steer them in the right direction, what they should or shouldn't do. And also when things go wrong, you can kind of go back to the line and help on that as well. And then as we're building our new Big River line, we can provide insight and some, pointers on stuff that they can hopefully avoid some stumbles as they're getting their new line brought up to speed. So a lot of stuff like that. So,
That's awesome. That's actually a really interesting insight. Thanks for that.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you stayed at one company for a while and kind of worked your way up. I was just wondering what made you decide to stay at one company instead of hopping around and trying different places to work your way up?
I guess kind of it stayed interesting, and I think it was probably benefit of my superior at the time. They kept it interesting, and I think they knew that, and it wasn't just me, but like all the people that were hired along around the same time, they moved us around pretty frequently from different positions so that you kind of wouldn't get stale. Because I think there was a lot of turnover with more people leaving. And so I think they were aware of that on their side and from the HR side, and they wanted to move you around. And if you were obviously hating whatever you're doing, they tried to get you to another area. I remember two people that I started with that did not. One guy, he definitely skipped around to multiple steel companies. I don't know what he's doing now. And another guy, didn't like the steel business, hung around for I think maybe 4 or 5 years and went off and did something else. So, but yeah, I a lot of credit to my supervisors and the company as a whole to realize that employee retention was a priority, and they moved us around to keep us engaged.
That's a great answer. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, you mentioned that it kind of kept you going. Like, do you thrive on challenges? And what kind of challenges, or what kind of things happened that kept you excited about the positions that you were taking on, or the roles you were taking on at your company?
Yeah, I guess a lot of it was in the early years was kind of bad things were happening, whether it was we were making our own mistakes, or it was just bad economics, fighting a lot of imports, and so we were always on our back foot trying to prove ourselves. So it was we were constantly the underdog, especially at our plant down here in Fairfield. So we were proving ourselves constantly against imports and our other plants, and just Wall Street to keep ourselves open. So it was always a constant battle to always make the charts better, whether it was defects down, yields up, tons returned, whatever metric you want to use was to make them better month over month. So that was always fun and a challenge. And at times it was tedious because you're going month after month, and sometimes it's not working, and sometimes you're trying to fix something, the solution, but for whatever reason you didn't have the money to implement whatever new idea. So there were definitely some challenging times, but you kind of have to learn that that's the way business works sometimes. You don't always have an unlimited budget, and you have to accommodate that and work around it and find a more creative solution.
We love creative solutions.
Yeah.
Especially as young professionals, I think that's something that we all have to recognize, is that we can, no matter what level we're at in our companies, is that we can find creative solutions, or we can bring new ideas to the table. Can you share some examples of times that you've brought ideas or solutions to the table for your employer?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a lot of times there's obvious solutions. And again, I had engineering, started with an engineering degree, and so you learn all the basic obvious things. And trying to think of a specific one, but I guess kind of, you don't learn a lot of business savviness in basic undergrad engineering, or at least I didn't. I wasn't very smart at business. So you learn the obvious solution. Hey, we need to fix this and this. These things are broken, so let's fix it, and then we'll solve all our problems. Well, if you don't have the money to fix it, then what else can you do? So that's where you have to be creative, and I guess also you got to expand your horizons and ask other people's opinions, because you may not have all the solutions. You have, you do the obvious ones. So I'd say that's probably one of the best things you can do when you're starting out, at least in the middle of management, is to really talk to other people. Don't assume that you have all the answers, or to think that the basic, the by the book answers are not the only answers that are out there. It's like one thing that I think definitely helped me was just going down the hall and talking to other people, and going to other departments. It's funny, a lot of times you'll run into just business problems that are not necessarily related to a piece of equipment. It could be, scheduling problems that work their way down, that somebody has a priority to get a certain number of tons through on facility. Well, then downstream it causes other problems. But if the left hand isn't talking to the right hand, you have problems inside your own facility. You don't even know it. So it's good to go and talk to other people and figure out, why are they doing that upstream that's affecting you downstream. And if they know it and they have their own reason for it, then it is what it is. But if they don't know that they're causing problems downstream, we'll tell them, hey, why are you doing that? It'd be really great if you didn't do that, and everyone could be happier. So yeah, they definitely recommend going and learning more about your business and talking to other groups, especially different departments. Again, if you're just in operations, talk to the logistics, talk to the planning people. HR is always interesting. What's going on with people, and it gets coming from the quality side. It's always, a lot of times dealing with maintenance, they always think that quality is just the check at the end of the line to make sure that it's the right length or the right size, but there's way more to it than that. I won't go down that rabbit hole unless we really want to. Yes, I can't think of a good example, but definitely if usually if you've got multiple steps in whatever production you're doing, if something upstream is affecting something downstream, make sure that the upstream knows that they're affecting downstream, and you can solve problems by talking.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I remember last year at Melissa Furman's session at MetalCon, she mentioned that a current issue that happens is that people get promoted too quickly and they're not prepared to handle like a management role. So is there some advice that you would give for new managers that seem ill-prepared for everything that they're expected to do now?
Yeah, I remember when I first got promoted and was supervising other engineers, and it was really, really hard. I thought I did terrible, and my boss had to tell me, calm down, it's all right. I guess learning to delegate is actually really hard. If you're used to doing things yourself and having them done a certain way, learning to delegate is a critical skill that I would say I'm not the best at yet. And I guess, communication at all levels works. And so when you're moving up and you have people reporting, whether they're reporting directly to you or if you're on a team working with other people, if you're the lead on that project, clear expectations and clear deadlines, and whatever the product that someone's delivering to you, be clear on what the expectations are. So I would definitely put, a lot more discussion and communication on the front side, and deliberation, and the more preparation you can have, I think the better off you'll be down the line if you on whatever you're doing. So, and I guess a lot of it comes with trust also. You know, so when you're in the working world, if you can trust whoever your superior is, and if the, you know, if the people working for you can trust you, that you've got their back when they're doing stuff, that goes a long way. And that's one thing I get in my, the different supervisors I've had. I haven't always done things by the book, but as long as I'm doing it with the right intentions, and sometimes it didn't work out, and they went to bat for me, and other times it worked out. You know, so if you're, as long as you're doing it with you know, like my boss says, you know, as long as you're fighting the good fight, if it doesn't work out, you know, you're trying and you're doing the right things, but it didn't work out, and it's okay. And sometimes you have to, if you know things are going south, in time, sometimes you have to get everybody on the boat together to know that it's going to go bad, but make sure everybody knows it's about to go bad. You don't want to be hung out to dry. At the same time, if you're the supervisor, you don't want to hang somebody out to dry when they didn't necessarily do it wrong themselves. It's just the situation worked out that way.
Awesome. So I also see that you commented about understanding your employer, understanding the product. I'd love to hear about understanding and knowing your customer and how that has affected you in your role.
Yeah. So something I didn't figure it all out myself. I got to give credit to some other people, but like, especially when you're in working for a big organization, you got to know who your customer is, because like, you know, US Steel sells to a lot of people in the construction world. We sell steel coils, but the people that are buying steel from United States Steel are not my personal customers. Obviously I can deal with them in my professional capacity, but my personal profession, my customer is whoever's in charge of my paycheck or my annual review, and I want to keep them happy and do what they, you know, get their objectives and priorities aligned with, or align my priorities with what their priorities are, so that you're doing what's good for your company or for whoever your personal customer is, and it's not always the company's customer. You know, hope that makes sense. You know,
It does. Sorry, we just got a question in, but it is just something I can answer in chat.
Hey, Ben, I have a question. We talked a lot about your longevity with US Steel and your trust in your supervisors and the good experience you have there. I feel like a lot of days articles and things are focused on like red flags on when to leave your job or your company. Would you consider some like green flags on a company where you would decide this is a place to stay, this is a place where I should make my career?
I think a lot of it goes back to the trust that we talked about earlier. You know, if there's a lot of, you know, politics inside and backstabbing, then it's probably not a good place to hang out. But as long as there's good communication, obviously financial security is always a benefit for things. If you're looking to, you know, just go for promotions and titles, then, you know, you can go for that. Or if you're just looking for, you know, personal satisfaction and put bread on the table for your you know, for your family, then that's what I'm more inclined to look for. Yeah, just a nice work relationship where trust with your fellow employees, trust with your supervisors, and that you hope that the people at the top are doing the right thing for to steer the ship the right direction. So some of it's out of your control. You know, like I remember, you know, 2015 when I moved over into this position, I wasn't really looking forward to it, or I wasn't looking to make a move, but you know, the economic forces outside of my control shut the plant down. So I had to make the move. But at the same time, I went back to grad school and was being prepared for other things if things didn't work out at US Steel. But I guess kind of what goes back to the general theme of this talk is, if you make yourself invaluable, or I wouldn't say invaluable, but if you make yourself, if you have a lot of value and you can contribute on a lot of different ways for your employer, whoever your customer is, they realize that, and you're less likely to end up on the short list when they do need to make staff cuts. And I guess that kind of goes back to, so talked about earlier, going out and seeing how the company works, making connections and making relationships with other departments, and knowing your business inside and out, not only your products, but also your processes and how your process flow goes from A to B, but all, your internal stuff. We do it all the time now, customers want to send in a PO or money payments or this or that, and things get hung up with just computer systems. Knowing who to call to get them fixed, or if it's in your wheelhouse to go get it fixed. So it's being well versed in your business, again, not beyond just the products, but knowing how your business works is a good thing. Again, you just keep products moving, and then when there's problems, you know how to solve them. So I think that's probably led to my longevity. Just being I don't know, what's the word, jack of all trades but master of none. Just knowing a lot about how we make a product and how to, all the people that are involved and all the steps that are the obvious mechanical steps and also the behind the scenes steps.
Makes a lot of sense. I'd love to hear, especially being in the middle management role, how do you prepare to have a young professional come in, or how do you prepare to have a new employee come in? How do you help them feel welcome and empowered at US Steel?
I guess at first, you got to talk to them, figure out where they're coming from. I remember, like, when I started fresh out of college, I was wet behind the ears, didn't know anything, and it was a very eye-opening experience going out and being 23 years old and having to tell people my father's age what to do. Is quite a daunting task. So I think a lot of it is you really, as much as we want to think that you can train somebody with videos and have it all done in a certain number of hours, it really takes years to get somebody fully trained up to speed, especially when something like steel making that we've been doing this for 100+ years. You're not going to learn it in a couple of videos. So I guess really you just got to let them shadow with somebody for a long time, or whatever your HR decides, however you want to get somebody get their feet wet. But just give them a lot of grace. And again, the same thing with trust. Once they've crossed a certain threshold that you can give them some line, go let them make mistakes, but also let them know that you got their back, that they're not okay. If they made a mistake in good faith, that's one thing. If they just made a mistake out of negligence, then is that your fault for missing that part of the training, or are they just a negligent employee and maybe you should get rid of them? But yeah, I think just a lot of it is just trust that you're going to fail and it's okay, and that you're not going to be thrown out because you messed up one time, and that failure is just part of it. I think Elon Musk is famous for saying, like, fail fast. That's at SpaceX, which they're like driving ethos. So obviously you have to learn the flavor of your company. US Steel is we're a very risk averse company. So also, talk to your supervisor if you want to, you got an idea. And I still do that with my bosses now. Hey, I want to try this or this or this. What do you think? And it'll be like, I like the first half, the second half, let's rethink that. So yeah, again, back to communication. Communication's good, and relationships, we've kind of touched on that numerous times. Just going to see other people, and having good, I think relationships in general are probably the foundation of a longer career. Kind of bouncing back to your previous question, the relationships are very subjective, but there's a lot of capital that you can put into relationships. You can call somebody that you worked with somebody else somewhere else, or even, like, we talked, people that left to go to other places. Well, if you had a good relationship, you can call them for, hey, did you have this problem or this or that? And just, again, relationships are invaluable. And there's still people that I used to work with here at US Steel that have moved on downstream processes of, like a customer of US Steel or somebody else, and I still call them. Hey, do you remember when we had this problem? Do you remember what the problem, how we solved it? Kind of one of the benefits of working for a, in the steel business, there's not a lot of new things. we tend to make the same mistakes every 20 or 30 years. So they think things come back around again. Yeah, so yeah, back to relationships. Relationships are I think are probably the biggest thing. Sorry, I got off track. We're talking about.
We welcome that.
Yeah.
So kind of building off of that last question, it's kind of the reverse of Kaylin's question, but say you're fresh out of college, new job, new to the industry, what are some realistic things that you could do day to day that would eventually get you to be promoted, be into an eventual middle management role if that's your goal?
Yeah, you got to work hard. There's no, I mean, first off, you got to come to work every day and answer emails, answer phone, and just kind of the normal, basic, common courtesy stuff that you, hopefully your mother taught you good manners. Please, thank you. If someone asks a question, don't answer yes or no. Answer yes and give some, justification as to, that, like, give some insight as to why it's a yes or no. We're not going to do this because, give some insight on that. If you know the insight, hopefully you do. And if you don't know the reason behind, then go figure it out. In today's world with technology and cell phones, and you can get email anywhere. It's a great benefit, but at the same time, it comes with leashes and extra red tape along with it. So, you kind of use that to your advantage. Again, once you're into middle management or like a salary position, you're kind of expected to work outside of the work day. Like it's not a 9-to-5 job. Especially if you're working in a company that works around the clock with machines that run all the time. You can't only work 9 to 5. So if you get an email at 6 o'clock at night and the answer, just go and answer the email. Or somebody calls you on a Saturday. I had a customer call me, I think it was Sunday afternoon, asking a random question. Because he was getting ready to meet with one of his customers. So again, if you're available to be outside of your set, I guess maybe rephrase it this way: you got hired for a job description, but the job description is a very narrow window of what your job actually entails. So don't pin yourself into just that job description, because you're going to sell yourself short. And that's how you're not going to get promoted, if you only do what's in the job description. So obviously do the job description, but realize there's a lot more to it than that. And if you only do the job description, they may be trying to replace it with robots at some point. So hope that maybe that answers the question. But yeah, just go work hard, go above and beyond. At least when you're first starting, you don't want to do just barely enough. If you're trying to make a name for yourself and separate yourself from all the other new grads, you just have to work harder than everybody else. Sometimes it's working longer hours, but definitely, if you can work from home, or if they give you a company phone, you got to answer it. Even if it's Saturday morning or late Friday night. But then at the same time, you do have to, set your own boundaries. If you're on vacation and you're not going to do any work because you're physically on vacation, which is a very important thing to do, then you put your out of office and you tell whoever it is, I'm on vacation. I'm not answering the phone. That's perfectly okay. I think everyone needs to respect those boundaries. So you just need to be clear, again, clear communication about what those boundaries are. But on the flip side, you just got to do what needs to be done, get the job done. Like I've spent 24 hours out at the steel mill before. It's not a lot of fun, but sometimes that's what you got to do. You just work through it and, you know, work hard and play hard later.
That makes perfect sense to me. As someone who runs a trade show, I get that. The 24-hour thing. Awesome. Thank you for answering those questions. I personally don't have any additional questions on my chart. Zana, did you have any other questions?
No, I think you can just wrap up with like one last, like, where do you see your role progressing in the future? All-encompassing question.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I've had 20 years already. So I'm not looking to retire, but again, I'm pretty happy with my middle management career. I'm not looking to be a C-suite. So I imagine I'll probably stay in something similar to what I'm doing now, maybe float around to one or two different groups, but still within the middle management realm, and just keep contributing however I can to, you know, bring value to whatever team and project that I get, whatever I'm involved in. So I think that's my plan. I guess, you know, back to your other one is the question you just asked about a new person, a new employee, is figure out how to bring value. I think that's a good one. I learned that from we had a guy several years ago. It's very abstract to figure out what does that mean to bring value. All right, if you're in the sales world, okay, you need to bring sales, you need to bring orders come in. It's easy to quantify. But when you're not directly in the money flow of your business, how do you make that subjective value something that you can quantify for yourself? I don't have a good answer for, because every business is different, but that's really what you should be seeking, is how do you bring value to the team?
That sounds perfect to me. And I think that's something we can all really think about as we kind of wrap this up, is what value do you bring and how can you better that company with who you are and what you do?
Yeah. All right. Well,
great.
Any questions from the field?
I have no questions that have come in, but
Okay.
anyone out there, if you'd like to submit a question, just feel free to put that in the chat box or in that Q&A box. We'll be happy to share that with Phillip. But until then, I'll kind of start doing the wrap up comments here. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate your time, your energy, and your effort. And if you are a young professional or a future leader in the metal construction industry, just remember, if you are registering for MetalCon in the next couple of days, use the registration promotional code FLMC. That'll again give you a very special discount to MetalCon this year. Again, Phillip, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And as I'm wrapping up, we do have, nope, that is not a question. So I want to thank you very much. Zanat, thank you for joining me today. Zanat is the head of the MCA's division of Future Leaders, and I am the MetalCon division head of Future Leaders. We look forward to seeing everyone here at MetalCon in 2023, and we hope to see you all in middle management roles, or growing from middle management roles, or entering into them, depending on your current career level and where you want to be in the future. Thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.